My boss told me to find another job, so I did, right when they needed me the most. Earlier today I was reading a story about a shitty manager that bullied someone into quitting their job. I decided to share a similar experience. Back when I was still working in HR, I got a great job offer. This was a publicly funded company with huge cultural impact. Really the definition of an institution. Everyone who learned I worked there couldn't help but to feel slightly amazed at the discovery. Some people even rudely implying I had friends in the right places. Never mind, I was a recently graduate clueless young man with nothing to my name. This was my first real job too, not counting internships or smaller summer jobs. As such, I really tried my best to be helpful and kind to everyone on my first year there. And maybe that's why I became a target. After I secured a permanent contract with them, with incredibly shitty pay and no benefits at all. I might add, one particular coworker got pretty salty about my position in the office. Although, for all intents and purposes, I was still beneath pretty much everyone there. This culminated in getting a call from this person, 30 minutes after I had left work, asking about a pile of papers she couldn't find. I remembered I had actually kept those papers on my desk and tell her to look there. I apologize profusely and ask her if she wants me to go back to help her deal with it. She simply says, no, and that everything is all right. Now, this was the type of coworker that always did the bare minimum and still whine about it at every chance she had. I never thought much of it. After all, she was a mom, and as such, she probably was pretty tired all the time. But I never thought she would turn on me because she had to stay at work for 30 more minutes, looking for a pile of papers. Half the time I would have to stay 1 or 2 hours after work to deal with my workload. So I thought it was no big deal. The next day, I again apologized to my coworker but immediately noticed something wasn't quite right about the way she was acting with me. Throughout the day, I noticed her going out of the office with coworkers, sending them messages and letting out these poisonous little laughs to herself every time I opened my mouth to say anything. From that day on, this was one of the people that decided to make my life a living hell. I made some friends in this place too. Some of them became really great friends that I still hang out and treasure to this day. But for the most part, it was an absolute hellhole. Here are some of the things that I experienced over my 3-year stay. Got one of the most important people in the company publicly shaming me for participating in a interview wearing sneakers. Keep in mind that no dress code was defined for interview or any other corporate event, and I had always worn sneakers. A sadistic manager who, on good days, would talk shit about everyone she had to work with, and on bad days would downright bully and verbally assault me in front of other coworkers. A coworker who would often raise rumors about me based on nothing. The same who turned on me because of 30 extra minutes on the job. A coworker who, for no good reason, sprayed me and my friends with a fire extinguisher, and HR who refused to do anything about it, etc. I don't pretend that I was the perfect worker. I mean, it was my first job. I made a ton of mistakes and probably pissed a lot of people off. But I'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who could deal with this toxic workplace and keep their mental stability. All of this pushed me to a point of near nervous breakdown, and one day, I just couldn't take it anymore. It's a day just as any other. At some point after lunch, I come back into the office to find my coworker sitting at her desk all by herself. Weird, I thought. She usually came back from lunch way after I did. Obviously sulking. She acknowledges my presence by immediately accusing me of hiding papers to prevent her from doing her job. Keep in mind, It's been almost 3 years since she called me after work hours and our relationship soured. This day would be the climax of that seething hatred we had both cultivated for one another. I shrug and tell her I have no idea what she's talking about. Never seen such papers and certainly have nothing to do with the situation. I sit down. Also pissed now but ready to move on and not waste any more time on this subject. My manager comes in and notices something has happened. The tension is palpable. Before she has the chance to ask what's up, my coworker pipes up. Well, you see, what's happening is that Kono Kermit Daw is a liar. What? In all of my 3 years there, I never raised my voice. Never talked back. Never shown a hint of defiance until that very fucking moment. I can't deal with anyone calling me a liar. It's one of the things that makes me go absolutely insane with rage. I immediately cut her off and tell her how much of a toxic bitch she is. I wasn't nice or even professional about it and I really don't regret it. I didn't use any swear words. But I was definitely very personal about the way I responded. I can see their surprise. They never thought I would fight back. They expected me to take it and shut up forever. Things go downhill from here for me. My bitch of a coworker gets transferred somewhere else. But I'm told I have to undergo behavioral training. For the first time in years I'm not taking shit and I let my manager know I'm not interested. I had been humiliated for 3 years and finally stood up for myself. I wasn't going to be punished for that. My boss calls me to her office. Began asking weird questions like, "Are you happy here?" And, "What do you want to do in the future?" I told her about my grievances and how toxic this work culture is. In no uncertain terms, she tells me, "You know, we have to renew your contract soon. But if you're not happy here, I would find a job somewhere else." What? I had given this company some of the best years of my youth. I worked for them day and night, going the extra mile even when they didn't ask me to for what amounted to be a little more than minimum wage. Their payback? Punishing me for standing up for myself once. Well, the problem, for them, is, I had been learning how to program while working. I would get off work late in the evening, go home and drag my exhausted body to my laptop to study up to 4 or 5 hours of coding. I realized I really liked coding. Like, a lot. Unbeknownst to them, I had began taking small coding projects for no pay, as having other paid jobs was forbidden in this company. And soon I was thinking of launching a career as a web developer. My contract ended and I expected to receive a call in 1 or 2 weeks to come by and sign the new contract. This was the usual process for workers like me. Weeks go by and I honestly believe they just decided to not hire me back. Didn't bother me. After all, I was already looking for a new job before my contract was even over. 3 months later, I get a call from my manager. "Hi Kono, Kermit Daw. How are you? Listen, we got your new contract here. Why don't you come by to sign it? If you sign it today we can have you back by Monday." Quote. She goes on to tell me how much work there's been lately and how they really need me back ASAP. All the projects I had worked on were halted because no one else wanted to work on them. A quarter of a year after they dropped me with no word of hiring me back. At this point, however, I was getting plenty of interviews for IT companies who were genuinely interested in my skills and portfolio. Thank you. I'm not coming back. The silence on the other end of the call was so sweet. My manager asks me to pass by anyway. She would like a word with me and I still had my personal belongings at my desk. I agreed, figuring this was the only chance I'd have to stick it back to them. After 3 years of abuse, She sat me down with a disgustingly saccharine attitude that she would seldom display while I was working for them. The whole meeting was essentially a desperate attempt to bring me back into the company and me refusing it at each turn. "That's okay," she said. "What are you going to do then?" Quote. I told her I'd work as a programmer. My reply is met with laughter. I remain silent. "That's good," she continued. "I'm sure you can do it. But you know, I would seriously consider staying with us." I reiterate I'm not interested and even let her know I'm moving away in a couple of months. Again, she laughs at me. Apparently, my plans for the future were so extraordinarily out of my reach in her opinion that she just couldn't help but to laugh. Just a last little slap on my face. Finally she asks, "Why would you want to leave us?" Quote. I shrugged, unable to contain my smile. "You people told me to get a job if I wasn't happy here. I'm just following your suggestion." Much to my manager's chagrin, I did land a job in web development. And after I left this job because I wanted to immigrate, my employer liked my work so much he asked me to keep working for them remotely until I found another job in my destination. I've been working as a web developer for 3 years now, and every single day I look back at my previous career and wipe the sweat off my forehead knowing I dodged a lifetime of misery and abuse. As for my previous workplace, they're still going strong. After all, it is a huge institution and my part in it wasn't that important. But my team was pretty badly hit. Without me, they couldn't perform interviews and keep some of their projects going for a couple of months. The whole thing was hot garbage until they unfortunately hired another clueless recent graduate. But honestly, knowing those people have to wake up and go to work in the hell they have personally created feels like enough of a punishment for me. Hope they find the inner peace they want so badly. TL. Doctor. Abusive workplace let me know they were happy to let me go after I stood up against my 3 years of abuse. I let them know I was extremely happy to go after they realized they needed me for my projects and tried to walk it back. She laughed when you told her you were going to be a programmer? The fucking nerve. An industry where you can make 6 figures without a master's degree. The field where you can train yourself and still be a better programmer than someone with professional education. The kind of job where you have so much freedom in your hours and solve interesting problems all day. Of all the careers to laugh at, that ain't it, chief. How clueless can someone be? Good on you, op. I'm glad you're finding more fulfillment in your work. Sounds like this place had incredibly weak management if such toxic stuff was allowed to bloom. A good manager would shut this down quickly. Dodged a bullet. If only you could have hid some papers in your final visit to the office. I left my last job the day before the day that marks the busy season. Seafood restaurant. Lent. I put in my notice 2 months previous because I was tired of the job. Not my coworkers. It was nice knowing I didn't have to work that craziness nor the summer. Which was the main reason. Because those summers can be killer. Got one of the most important people in the company publicly shaming me for participating in a interview wearing sneakers. Keep in mind that no dress code was defined for interview or any other corporate event, and I had always worn sneakers. Okay, so upper management sucks. That's pretty par for the course with bad jobs. A sadistic manager who, on good days, would talk shit about everyone she had to work with and on bad days would downright bully and verbally assault me in front of other coworkers. Power-tripping manager? Another staple of shitty workplaces. Must suck to work there. A coworker who would often raise rumors about me based on nothing. The same who turned on me because of 30 extra minutes on the job. A bitter, awful coworker on top of the other two? This is like the perfect example of a bad workplace. A coworker who, for no good reason, sprayed me and my friends with a fire extinguisher, and HR who refused to do anything about it. Excuse me, what the fuck? The best revenge is to live a good, fulfilling life. Sounds like you are doing that. Now this is an inspirational post. Just what I needed to walk my tired butt back to the computer. Grad student. And thusly op learned that the most toxic people in every company are shuffled to the HR department. Yeah. Spent 3 years in a horrid HR department where I was told to do everything but then wasn't permitted to update processes or actually manage my reportees. Good on you. I assume the fire extinguisher incident didn't happen at your workplace. I've heard of similar incidents where, as long as the harassment didn't happen on work property or at a work-sanctioned event, HR didn't give a rat's ass. I tried to read this whole thing, but amazingly it's so long I finished shitting halfway through. This has never happened before. Impressive length op.
Nice.
I love a well-told story with a happy ending. May you live happily ever after. Kiss mark. Love it. A very epic read and was well worth it. Glad you found your path in life and persevered through that shitty job. Makes me think back to my high school days as a TI-84 programmer. I woulda called the cops after the fire extinguisher stunt. I wonder what the other side of this story is. Something about the employee that lost his or her shit in the office to the point that our had to look into angry management for them. Good lord, that sounds like such an awful place. I'm glad you managed to bounce back. How did you teach yourself to code? If you don't mind my asking, I'd love to give it a try. But you know, I would seriously consider staying with us. I'm sure you would seriously consider staying there. It's a very convenient option for someone with no other talents. Is it too petty to send a card to her with you smiling and a note, "Still doing swell. Never thought it'd be so easy," or something wittier? Just to rub it in? That was satisfying. Thank you for sharing. Your experience here echoed mine. I felt your pain. Kinda did the same thing. I was in line for a leadership role until management installed one of their bootlicking people into our team. Just for that leadership role. I got literally sideswiped. 5 years of my youth. Working from sunrise to sunset. Mostly till midnight. Juggling between technical work and searching for spares. Standing in for my team leader when he's gone for his annual 2 weeks vacation to Europe. I wasn't even compensated for that leadership role. When they installed their bootlicker to be the upcoming team leader for the team. I don't know what it was, but something just snapped in my mind. Then I moved on. The voice of my boss cracking. His realization of what I've done and what will happen when I moved on. That is satisfying. The sad attempts to make me stay. Still adamant to change my mind. I laughed it off. Very, very satisfying indeed. Someone called me if I would come back working to my old job. I told them, nope. Ask their bootlickers to do my job if they are so capable. I heard from my old colleague that my old team is struggling now. I understand that as a boss. That you need workers on certain roles. But your workers aren't machines. Compensate them for the role they play. If you play favorites, I assure you that your overall workforce knows that you are playing favorites. I'm now working on a totally different industry now. And I don't regret it one bit about moving on. Sometimes we just don't know that we're in a toxic relationship. It just is. Sounds so weird. But it's true for me.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.